Hey and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I apologize for the crazy bright halo that's happening in the background, and also that I'm going to look at myself on the screen and not at the camera a lot, and that I also have this kind of weird glare in my glasses. I'll try to avoid it as much as I can. I decided to vlog my journey with weight loss surgery because I found a lot of other people's videos out there really helpful while I was doing research, but I also couldn't find a lot that I could relate to. There was a lot of videos for gastric sleeve and gastric bypass, RNY, VSG, but not a lot from ESG or endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty, which is what I chose to go with. Also, not surprisingly, there was not a lot of people who came from a fat positive, body positive community background. I know it sounds super hypocritical, and I guess I'll touch a little bit on that. But you'll have to excuse me because this happens a lot now. I'm 3 days post-op. So I got a lot of gas going on. I just wanted to talk about my journey and what brought me here and my experience, so that hopefully other people can also learn and research from my progress. So a bit about me. I'm 35. I work full-time. I have 2 of my own kids. They are 9 and 5, and also a 4-year-old stepson. So I have a big family unit. We all live together in the house, and I have 2 awesome guys that support me and all the choices that I make. So what made me come to this decision? So I've always been big my entire life. I remember in school being a bigger kid for as long as I can remember, all the way back to year 2. We used to have to do exercise out in the playground, and I remember the teachers would make snarky comments, which is really shit now that I think back on it. And I remember in high school in PE, when you'd have to do those physical tests, and they'd weigh in, and you'd have to weigh in front of the whole class, and so then the whole class would know how much you weigh. And I'm thinking, here I am. I think I was maybe 14 years old, and I was 80 kilos, which is way too much, but that's according to normal standards, which I think are flawed anyway. And I'll touch on that why later. But growing up, I've always been a bigger kid. I didn't struggle with being bullied. I didn't think of myself any less, really, at all. The heaviest weight I ever got was 124 kilos. I found that out the day I found out I was pregnant with Zach. And then during my pregnancy, I was sick all day, every day for the entire pregnancy. So I actually lost weight during the pregnancy. And then afterwards, I did a 12-week program because some people from my work sponsored me to do it. And I enjoyed it and I had fun. So I lost 27 kilos all up, I think, and I got down to about 95 and then plateaued. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. I apologize. I then had Lexi, and when I went back to work, I put my absolute everything into work, and I got lazy and I stopped working out and I stopped eating well. It was hard. It was hard with 2 kids. I can't cook. We would get home and be tired, and it was just so much easier to get something that's quicker to eat. And as long as I'm nourishing myself, that was important to me. I have also suffered from anxiety and depression from a young age, and I have to get checked frequently. My blood pressure, I get bloods taken a lot so they can make sure that my meds are right. I haven't had high blood pressure. I don't have high cholesterol. My cholesterol levels are good. I'm not pre-diabetic. I didn't have any of those issues. And then over the last probably 18 months at work, I worked on a project, and that kind of pushed me over the edge. But there was also a bunch of other stuff going on in my life outside of work, which also impacted. So my nan has lipoedema, which is, well, hers progressed to lymphedema, but she had lipoedema, was diagnosed, I think, in 1993. It is a chronic progressive illness where the body will develop abnormal adipose fat tissue, predominantly in the hip to ankle region, depending on what type you have. Some people can get it in their lower stomach. Some people can also get it in their arms. And because of its location, it can restrict your lymph glands, which then can progress through to lymphedema, which is fluid buildup and can create sores and cellulitis and all sorts of stuff. So it is a hereditary disease, and out of the family, I too was blessed with lipoedema. In my legs, I have type 2, which is from my waist to my knees. So my thighs have always been disproportionate to the rest of my body. And I'm not using that as an excuse as to why I'm fat. I do also have normal fat on my body. But I slowly learned to accept that nothing can make that fat disappear without liposuction. No amount of diet and exercise will make lipidemic fat go away. It can be very painful, and like I said, it's progressive. So if you don't get on top of it, then it will progress and become worse. Doctors don't really know much about it. There's a lot more awareness coming out now. They're not quite sure what causes it. It's probably a combination of genes and hormones, and I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word on any of this stuff. Go research it for yourself. I watched my nan go from being, normal but bigger, to not wanting to go in the car, to not wanting to leave her house at all, to not being able to walk, having to leave her house after she fell during the night and go to hospital in the house that she lived for 40 years, and then go into a nursing home and never walk again and never return back to that house. I went and I saw my nan in June of this year, because they all moved to Coffs Harbour from Sydney, and I'm still in Sydney. And she begged me not to be like her. She said, please do anything to not progress it and not end up like she is. So she sat there and she held my hand and she begged me. So I promised her that I would do something. And I know that the last 18 months, because of that going on in my home life, because I put everything into work, I was working on a project, sometimes working, like pulling all-nighters, doing 24/7, not sleeping, not eating properly. Within the space of a year, I think I put on 20 or 30 kilos. I didn't weigh myself. I didn't know. And while I am not unhappy fat, and I find bigger women attractive, so why wouldn't I also want to be a bigger woman? My body started to fail me. I got really sore. My lipedema started to progress. My legs started to get very sore. I started to swell a lot, and I'm just going to pause for a second because the guys are about to walk in the house. Sorry, you're going to hear background noise because they've just bought groceries in and putting it away. So we took the kids to the US earlier this year. I've been many times before and I've never had an issue getting on rides, but we went to Universal Studios the first time we've been since the Wizarding World of Harry Potter has been opened, and I couldn't go on either of those rides. There wasn't a weight limit, but the restraints for the rides, you had to click it in and there was a light on it that had to turn from red to green, and if you couldn't get it in far enough it wouldn't do it. So there was one that came over the legs and there was one that came down over the chest area, and I couldn't fit in either. And that was pretty heartbreaking. And to not be able to go on that with my kids absolutely sucked. While I was also there, I was more tired than usual. I've been to Disneyland 7 times and I've never had an issue going there all day, every day, walking all day, every day. This time it was much harder for me. When I got home, I was getting a lot of headaches, just feeling very fatigued and tired. So I went and got checked and I had high blood pressure. And we started to talk about some things I could do to reduce my blood pressure. Nothing really worked. It just stayed high, and then started taking blood pressure medication, which I really didn't want to take. So I started looking into weight loss surgery, and I decided to go with, the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty. So the first day I went for my consultation, I struggled because I have spent the last few years part of the body positive, fat positive community. I have an Instagram page where there are plenty of things that hashtag fat babe, and that's how I see myself. I don't see myself as ugly or disgusting like stereotypical people would assume, but have I just betrayed the community that I'm a part of by making this decision? So it was really hard to do, and so that's why I also want to kind of detail this, because the session when I went for my initial consultation was quite eye-opening for me. At the end of my journey, well, it's not going to be really the end, but as I progress through, I'm still going to be fat afterwards. So I remember when I did the program and I got down to 95 kilos and I kind of just plateaued there, and I would research and see that the right weight for my height is like 55, 60 kilos, something ridiculous. And think, oh my God, that's so unachievable. When you go for the consultation, I did a DEXA scan. So the DEXA scan will scan your whole body and let you know what percentage of your body is fat, what percentage is lean muscle mass and bone, visceral fat, and distribution of where that fat is. My muscle and bones together combined weigh 75 kilos. So even if I had 0 fat on my body, I would still weigh 20 kilos more than what the standard is for my weight. So I will never, ever be under 75 kilos, which would be really unhealthy. No one should ever have 0 fat. So the healthy amount of fat for a female to have on their body is somewhere between, I think, 10 to 25 kilos of fat on their body. So if I was, so I think my range is like somewhere between 90 and 100. So I see all of these women who've also had surgery, whatever surgery it might be, posting that they've hit their surgeon's goal, but they want to lose another 15 or 20 kilos themselves. If you've not had a DEXA scan, please go get a DEXA scan, because you may be setting yourself up for failure on a goal that is unachievable, and would be really unhealthy. So yeah, let's just get into my statistics then, shall we? I weighed 140 kilos at the initial consultation. That is the heaviest I've ever been. I didn't know I was there because I didn't pay attention. I spent too much focus on work and everything else to take care of myself properly. I am not unhappy when I look in the mirror, but my body is sore and it is tired and I have high blood pressure. So it is now a health related thing for me. So I am trying to get healthy. I knew what I was getting myself into because I did a lot of research and decided that endoscopic would be best. It's less invasive surgery, so the recovery time is quicker, and it just seemed like the right thing for me to do, where I couldn't take a lot of time off work, and so I decided to go down that route. I started changing my eating habits immediately and went from using a large dinner size plate to using a small bread and butter plate. We would order HelloFresh dinners for the family and I would eat those, but a smaller portion of it. Increase the amount of vegetables I ate, decrease the amount of carbs I was having, decrease the amount of sugar I was having, making sure that I was eating breakfast and lunch, because skipping meals was a massive thing for me in the past. I would kind of just graze through the day, not knowing how your body works is really silly, but if you just constantly snack and graze all day, your stomach would never send the that kind of message to your brain that you're full, because your stomach's never full. It just kind of always is just going through. I started having protein shakes for breakfast and a soup or a salad for lunch and then the dinner, and kind of cut out desserts and snacks and things in between. I started drinking more water. And while there was no loss of weight, I started feeling better, which was really cool. And my sleeping started getting a little bit better, and I started to feel less fatigued, less tired, and could do more things. Started going to the gym, and then I got my surgery date and kicked off 2 weeks of pre-op. So my pre-op consisted of very low calorie diet shakes, soups and bars. So I lived on the Healthy Mummy shakes because they were the ones that I seemed to tolerate the most. I tried Imprimi and that didn't go down so well. I've also tried other protein shakes and they were too sweet for me. I'm not a massive fan of milk. I would then have a OptiSlim bar towards the end of the day. I'd have a salad for lunch, 1 cup of salad. The only thing I did different was I put cheese in mine because I was supposed to be having 4 shakes a day and I was only having 1 shake a day, 1 bar a day. And then for dinner, I would have another salad and then an OptiFast dessert, the chocolate or lemon dessert, which are delicious, by the way. And drinking more water. I didn't give up Coke Zero until the day before surgery. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than what it was. The first day was hard. I was hungry and grumpy, and but I got through it all right. And then before I knew it, it was time to have surgery. It was scary because I'd never had surgery before. I'd never been under general anesthetic before, so I didn't know what to expect. But coming out of it, all in all wasn't too bad. So I am now 3 days post-op. Sorry, I'm just going to get some stats here for you guys. So they weighed me when I went in for surgery and I was 132 kilos. So that was I lost 7 kilos during my pre-op 2 weeks. And today I was 128 So day 3, and I'm down another 4 kilos. So for the first 2 days, so the day of surgery, the day after surgery, I only have fluids to take medication. Very, very small amount of fluids for the medication. I felt very nauseous. I felt very sleepy. Had really bad gas pain and couldn't really sleep very well. But then the next day I got a really good sleep and just stayed on top of my meds. I went and had a fluid infusion so I wouldn't get dehydrated. And then yesterday I started on fluids, so clear fluids. So juice, water, electrolyte, hydrolyte drinks, and soup. And I'm really looking forward to Sunday because I get to move to free fluid diet, which means that I can start having my shakes again and I can have soups that aren't clear. All in all, I only ever regretted it when I was traveling in the car and felt like I was going to be sick because I hate being sick. I haven't vomited. I have not. It hasn't been too bad. I've had a little bit of cramping and pain, but it's been all right, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. And here's to whatever may come. Thank you, and I will catch you all up in a week's time.